Hi Best Buds, it's Cathy with Cathy's Garden, and I'm so happy that you've joined me today. Today we're going to be making some specimen botanical cards. Now, if maybe you don't have any fussy cut flowers, you could use something else, maybe a fussy cut butterfly or an umbrella. You know, sky's the limit, whatever you choose to put in your little 1.5 inch punch, circle punch. That's all it's going to take to make this. A little bit of cardstock, and I've added some of my specialty trim. I do have an eyelet right here. I have used my stamps and a little bit of washi tape. So let's get going and let me show you how I made these. Now I started with a piece of coffee dyed cardstock. It's really, nothing special. I just took my cardstock and I coffee dyed it. So here we are. And I have cut it down to 6 inches by 3 inches. And we're going to fold it in half. So folding it in half here. Taking my bone folder and creasing it well. I'm actually going to make, I think, 3 of them together. So it is a great math making project. So fold this over like this. Alrighty, so there we have that. Now, before we do anything else, we're going to need to bring in our 1.5 inch hole punch. And we're going to position our hole punch over here. The fold is here. We're going to go on the side. Now you can choose right side or left side. It's all up to you. And we're going to place our punch here. And we're just going to kind of eyeball it to see if there's, the same amount distance here as here. And we're going to push the punch all the way in. So it's completely pushed into the hole punch. All right, so maybe something about right there, and give it a good punch, or a good squeeze, I should say. There we are. So now it looks just like this. And I am going to do that on all of these. So once again, the fold, the punch, insert it into the side, kind of eyeball, and give it a squeeze. And one more time, we've got the fold, and we're going to pop in our 1.5 inch. Now, if you don't have a 1.5 inch, maybe you have something smaller. You could use something smaller if you want. But to get this look, you would need the 1.5 inch hole punch. Now, I am going to take my corner rounder, and I'm going to place my corner rounder on all 4 corners, and I'm going to round them. So let's do that real quick here, rounding my corners like that. There we go. 2 more to go, and the last one. All right, so we've got that taken care of. Now, I like the way it looks when I ink things. Now, this is the frayed burlap, and I'm going to ink up the outside of my little rectangle or square. When it's folded, it's a square. And it's 3 by 3 when it's folded. And I'm going to do front and back. And I'm also going to open it up, and I'm going to do inside my little circle. So it looks just like that. Now I'm actually going to do these 2, and then we're going to continue. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to bring in some of my stamps. Now I have had this stamp for the longest time. Yeah, it's kind of hard to even see what it is. It's got numbers, and it's got words, and it's got charts, and it's got graphs. It's got all kinds of crazy stuff. I really don't know where I got it from. I have no idea. I've had it for years and years. But what I want to do is I want to bring in my Timber Brown Stays On. Or no, I think I used black. Now that I look at this, look at my examples that I made, that's black. That's not Timber Brown. So let's switch this out. I'm not sure why I had the Timber Brown out. I don't know. Who knows what I was doing. But anyway, this is the black Stays On. And I've had a few people say, why do you use Stays On? Well, because I have it. Because it gives me a nice, fresh, crisp black color. And I have it. Basically, I have it. So you just use what you have, guys. You know, you don't have to buy something new. If you have brown and you don't have black, use that. So just going to stamp right there on the part that is the widest. So let's go ahead and let's do this. And the fold is on the top. And that's what I'm doing here. I think I need to push down harder so I can get a darker imprint. Okay. And then right like this. Lift it up. Oh yeah, I like that better. This one is just a little faint, but it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. It will work out fine. And yes, we're going to stamp it on the side that has the punch, the hole punch. So just inking this up and then stamping. There we are. That's wonderful. I like how that turned out. I'm going to do a little cleanup. Then we're going to continue. Alrighty, so now I have a paragraph stamp, and I'm going to be inking up my paragraph stamp using my black Stays On. And oh my goodness, here we go. So let's just ink this up. Actually, I'm going to try it this way. Yeah, I think that's going to work a little better for me. And I'm going to cover right here where this stamp ends, and so I'm going to cover up this section right here. So I'm just going to lay it down just like this, press. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And let's go ahead and do these other two. All right, so we have all three of them stamped. And let's bring in our dish here. And our dish has quite a few fussy cuts. Now, these fussy cuts are from Blossom Paper Art Botanicals. And they're all right, so let's pick out some of these fussy cuts that we'd like to use. And I think maybe one of these darker ones. Okay, so I'm going to put these back in the dish right here. And I've got these three. Let's fold up our little pieces like this, our little specimen cards that we're making. And how I did mine is I placed my botanical underneath, and I just kind of looked to see how do I want it to go in there. See, this one doesn't, you know, has some extra space right there. I kind of like that. This one's probably gonna fit in there a little more like that. This one I think is gonna cover all the space up, maybe. Yeah, it's covering it all. So whether you cover all of it, or maybe you have a ring around the floral or the butterfly or whatever you choose, or possibly you have just a little bit of the coffee dyed paper sticking out. Your choice. Just depends on what you choose. Now I'm going to use my art glitter glue, and I'm going to see if I can hold this in place while I add a little bit of glue, press it down. I don't have to glue too much to get it to stay because we're going to be closing these pieces. I'm not making a pocket out of this, although you could. You would have to find a way not to catch onto your fussy cut is the only thing, because when you make it into a pocket, you would want your item to go in and out of your pocket smoothly, and it wouldn't be too smoothly if you were getting caught on the edge of the fussy cut. Now this one, I think I'm going to need to do it this way. Just add a little bit of glue here. Yeah. Stick it down. I'm going to catch a little bit on this side. Okay. So we've got our little pieces in there. Cute, super cute. Now this is coming over the side, so all I'll need to do is just trim it off. I think one more of mine is coming over the side. I think this one, yeah, let's just trim that off. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to add a little label. Now these are chapter 1 papers labels. And I have already inked them all up, and they're all kind of a little rectangle shape. I think this is a perfect shape and size for this. And I am going to position, before I do that, I think I'm going to just glue this shut. So I'm gluing the circle part down onto the other side of my fold. Just like that, gluing it down. And like I said, you possibly could make it into a pocket if, I don't know, maybe if your piece goes all the way across, that would work. You wouldn't have a fussy cut, you just have a piece that goes completely across, then you could definitely make it into a pocket and it wouldn't catch on anything. All right, but this time we're just making specimen cards. Okay. Pressing this down. All right, now since it's glued down nicely, now I can bring in my label, and I'm just going to, I think, put it over to the side. You could put it right in the middle, however you'd like to place it. It doesn't matter. These I placed right underneath the picture. So however you want to position your label, add a little bit of glue. I'll stick with right underneath. Need a little piece of paper towel again, because got a little bit too much glue there and it's seeping out. And a little bit more here, right there, and then a little bit of glue on this one. All right, wonderful. Now, I have pre-punched out my tabs, and I used my tab punch for that. I used the coffee dyed cardstock. I had some extra after cutting out my 6x3" pieces that I folded in half for my specimen card. I had some extra from that piece of, what is it, 8x11" piece of paper. And so what we want to do is we want to just pop these on right on the top. So I'm going to open up my little tab. I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. I'm going to position it where I want it to go. So I want it to go about like this. And then I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to add the rest of the glue on here and get that glued down. Just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I find this to be the easiest way, just adding a little glue there. And I'm placing it between my grid marks just so I can add it so it's fairly in the center. I mean, if you're really good at eyeballing, then you don't need to, you know, put it in between your grids. But I don't know. If I get it off, it just bugs me. If somebody else does it and, you know, they're placing it, it doesn't bother me if somebody else does it, but it bothers me when I do it. I don't know why. I've tried so to get over it, but I'm afraid it's just me. So adding my glue here. So as you can see, this is really a quick little project, and they're so super cute. And you don't have to have anything special. 1.5 inch hole punch, a little bit of cardstock, and something to put in your circle window. Now, I am going to bring in my little tool here, and I'm going to use the smallest hole punch. That one's big, this one's smaller, and I want to put my hole maybe somewhere around here. Now, I'm choosing to put mine on my right-hand side. If you want, you could put it on the left-hand side. That's all up to you. I'm just going to place it in here, and I'm going to give it a punch. Just like that. Like this. Well, I've got something, got that stuck in there. There we go. And one more. There we go. So I've got my holes punched in my tab. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my smaller little eyelets. Now, someone's going to say, Kathy, what size are those? And I'm going to say, oh, I don't know. I've had these for the longest time. I have the eyelet and I have the backing. You know, my thing about the backing, you need the backing to have this clamp onto so it stays in place. Now, if I set this down on my grid, that looks like about 1/4 of an inch. I'll get it so it's more up and down here that you can see. Looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch. I don't know if that's how they measure them or not. I have no clue. But there's no marking on this at all about what size it is. I'm very sorry about that, although I can tell you this, that this fits inside this small hole punch. So I've got different colors here. I have red, I have pink, I have a black. I just put in a black one. There's a pink one. And I had a pretty gray one, and it only had one. Is this the gray one? I'm not sure. I had a white one too. I have a white one, I should say. There we go. So in there like that. And then, yes, I am putting my back on my eyelet. So I'm just laying it on. Oh, I gotta turn it over, Kathy. Okay. And one more. Like that. Okay. And then I'm bringing my crocodile in, and I've already changed out my little settings in my crocodile. And I'm just placing this here and then giving it a squeeze. Now, if you don't have eyelets, then you don't have to. I mean, you could just use it with the hole punched. I just thought it was an extra added something, and I find it fun to use my eyelets since I have them. Uh-oh, what happened to my back? Need my backing. It jumped off. There we go. Wonderful. Oh, so super cute. Now, the next thing is, if you happen to have gotten some of that specialty trim, you could use this, or you could use ribbon, you could use sari silk, you could use whatever it is that you have. I just have this, so I want to use it, and I'm going to give myself a little piece. I'm sticking it in from the front to the back, and I'm just going to give it a trim. And I think I'd like to use another, maybe this eyelash, I should say, yarn that's in here with this one mixed together. I'm going to stick it in here. There we go. pull it through. Okay. That, I don't know, do I want another? Let's put this one in. Let's put this other part that I cut, as I don't want it to be longer than my specimen card. Okay, now on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to trim off that little tassel. I'm going to lay this into the glue. I'm going to trim off this extra pieces that are hanging down like that. So now it looks like this. Uh-oh, I didn't get that one. I'm going to have to pop that one back in. It's kind of purple, isn't it? Oh, it'll be fine. There's purple right there. It'll be fine. And this one jumped out, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this one in separately since it jumped out. This is the fiddliest part of this whole thing right here. Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more glue. Somehow I keep missing that. Where's my little stick? There. Now it's glued in for sure. It's not going anywhere. How cute is that? That's super cute. Now, something else I wanted to do here. I have a bee stamp, and I thought, oh my, that would be so cute to put a bee on the back of our Botanical Specimen card. So we've got our bee there. And then I want to cover that up. I don't want to run the risk of having that, you know, be rubbed and maybe rub it loose, and so then you would lose your little tassel. So I'm going to add some of my art glitter glue right there on top and take a small piece of washi, and I'm just going to place it right over the top of this. Oh my goodness, how cute! How cute is that? That is super duper cute. I love these. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to quickly make these two, and then I'm going to show you all of them at the end. All right, so let's look at these. There's that one. And then here's this one. I added a little, whoa, got something stuck on my finger. I added a little white piece there, a light pink. Yeah, I think that's really sweet. I think this one might be my favorite. I don't know, this one's pretty cute too. They're all pretty cute. Oh my goodness. This one's cute. It's got that netting little tassel trim on it. And then there's this one. You guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. And if you have, please give me a thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. I'll see you there, guys. Bye now.